Now, reports this week claim that Britain's prisons are at breaking point.
Crown Court sentencings are expected to be delayed to prevent prison overcrowding, meaning anyone on bail will be free in the community or kept in cells in magistrates' courts.
Reports have sparked a debate over the state of our prison system. Do we need to build more prisons and get more criminals locked up? Or are we putting too many people in prison who don't really need to be there?
Well, we're joined now by barrister and Professor of Legal Practice, Deakin Law School, Dr. Felicity Jerry KC. So, if we're thinking, or you're thinking, too many people are going to prison, who shouldn't be going to prison?
OK, well, first of all, it's Felicity Gerry with a hard G. To answer your question, there are many people in prison already who shouldn't be there. So an audit of prisons already would find people who should be on bail, people who are still subject to the public protection, abolished laws, people who've been wrongly locked up under the disgraceful laws of joint enterprise. And what we have, instead of being tough on crime, mostly we're just tough on vulnerable people. There are a few people, of course, who are dangerous, but most people are messy. And prisons are full of people who have been, if you like, victims of utterly chaotic and disorganised penal policy that means that we're in the situation that we're in now. So far few people should be in prison, far more people need alternative services. And what we need to look at is crime prevention. And this is not new. People have been warning about this situation for decades. And frankly, the politicians simply haven't listened. In many ways, you can liken it to John Malkovich's character in Johnny English. He wanted to turn mainland Britain into the world's biggest prison. It's a joke, and it's an utter political failure that we're seeing this situation this week.
I just wanted to go back, Felicity, there, to who shouldn't be in prison. You talked about people on joint enterprise. That could be a murder or something serious. So what crimes shouldn't be going to prison?
So joint enterprise, by way of an example, is an area of law that I'm an expert in. And what we have now is charging decisions where when one person commits a crime, we charge maybe 5, 6, 7, sometimes up to 10 or 11 people, often children in groups. And the Court of Appeal have said people can be convicted with making no measured or measurable contribution to the crime. So you might have 9 children in...
Felicity, could we just cut in there? Because we don't need a lecture on joint enterprise. Some of us know it. And it seemed to me you couldn't tell us who shouldn't be going to prison there. So, Peter, let's bring Peter in.
We're also joined in the studio by former Metropolitan Police Detective Peter Bleksley. Peter, I mean, the government have been building record numbers of prison places. There's more jails than ever before. There's more prison places than ever before. They get in full, seems to be quicker and quicker. Felicity might have a point, might she, that we can't just sort of keep locking more and more people up and building more and more prisons. At some point, we're going to have to look at alternatives, aren't we?
The learned professor spouts utter nonsense, which is quite frankly very dangerous. And I'll use her word, a few people that should be in prison. What complete and utter tripe. Our nation, sadly, is heading at a rapid kind of pace into a land of lawlessness. And if people don't believe me, let me say there's 800 retail workers assaulted every day of the week. Over 100 police officers assaulted every day of the week. Don't believe some of the stats, the unreliable and untrue stats that certain politicians will spout. The whole criminal justice system is a mess. We need more prison spaces, and as a result of a failing criminal justice system, we are all at greater risk.
And just quickly on this point that the government have run out of prison places, so it seems that that's what the situation is. What if you were in that situation? You can't just build the prison place and they're open tomorrow. Until more prison places are actually there, how should the government manage this? Who should they let out of prison, and if they have to, in order to make sure that we've we deal with the capacity problems.
It is a dreadful quandary, and we shall see what Alex Chalk, Justice Secretary, says about this ridiculous situation on Monday. Quite frankly, we need more people in prison, not less.
I was going to go back to Felicity there. Felicity, you will have heard what the former police officer said there. So you're, some would say, soft on law, and that is actually now leading to a lawless society. More people need to be going to prison.
Well, OK, so I'm not soft. I did explain to you that some people are dangerous, but other people, you need to take a crime prevention approach. So for people who are currently waiting to be sentenced, what the government has failed to do is invest in those alternatives. For those people who are already in prison, all we need to do is audit those prisons. Let's have a look who's in there that is no longer or never was a risk to society. That's what people are frightened of, that somebody who is a risk will be out and not monitored or supervised or engaging in addiction or mental health services. So it's perfectly possible to do these things, but they're not being done. I'm afraid I couldn't hear your previous speaker, but to suggest that we need more than 90,000 people in prison is really quite blinkered and fails to have regard to all the available evidence-based research. So we can shout with rhetoric, but what we're doing is ignoring the people who should not be in prison or should not be going to prison, instead of identifying those who should be in there and who at the moment can't be in there because of the failed governance situation.
Felicity Gerry, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join us, and Peter Bleksley, thank you too for your time.